watching the new VR. Catch Seinfeld weeknights at 7:30 on the new VR.
Tonight, chaos averted. TTC and its union reach a tentative deal. 100 years young. A local lady celebrates a century. And masterful ending. Sudden death playoff thrills fans at Augusta.
Sharon Pocious, Mike Lane, Casey Colby. This is VR News, live at 11.
Good evening. Hundreds of thousands of public transit users as well as motorists are breathing a collective sigh of relief tonight. Instead of scrambling to find alternate modes of transportation, they are resting comfortably, knowing they will not be caught in the middle of a labor dispute tomorrow morning. Late today, the Toronto Transit Commission and its unionized workers managed to reach a tentative settlement. We get the very latest tonight from Naomi Parnas.
Julia, anxious commuters can have a good night's sleep tonight, but it almost came right down to the wire here at this hotel in Richmond Hill. The TTC and the union reached a tentative agreement at around 5:45 this afternoon after around 9.5 hours of talks. And now, although the agreement is a tentative one, it does mean that there is no strike tomorrow morning. And for commuters who were worried about the morning drive, that's really all they needed to hear.
Well, I'm relieved hearing the news.
It's what thousands of commuters are feeling as they head off on the road and catch their buses tonight. Buses that after last-minute efforts will still be running tomorrow morning. It's good news for drivers like York Region resident Bill Chan.
Well, I thought that I would have to take extra time to prepare for the trip tomorrow, but now it seems like it's regular. Tonight's relief came after commuters heard this.
I want to announce to the people of Toronto that there will be full service tomorrow morning.
Transit Workers Union President Bob Kinnear made the announcement after an entire weekend of anxiety and a long day of tense negotiations between the union and the TTC, led by TTC Chair Howard Moscow. He says the day included a lot of shouting, but there is now peace between the two sides.
It's been a tough couple of days for us, but it's been even tougher for people who weren't sure whether or not they can get to work tomorrow. Well, they now know they can get to work tomorrow on the better way, and the better way is going to get even better because we now have labor peace for the next 3 years.
And although money was at issue, it wasn't the main one. The union says the main ones dealt with quality of life issues for its workers, issues that included pensions, contracting out work, and scheduling. The two weren't even set to meet this weekend, but the union came back to the table at this hotel in Richmond Hill after the Ontario Ministry of Labour arranged the meeting.
We did it in the best interest of the people that use the TTC day in and day out.
Either way, it's huge relief for students like Eric Kim, who would not have been going to school if there was a strike.
I go to school every day in Toronto, but I'm happy to hear the news that there will be no strike tomorrow.
The strike has also been on the minds of drivers like Brian McDowell. He says he wasn't looking forward to the roads tomorrow morning.
I had to work at the home show tomorrow, which means there'd have been no TTC to get there, so there'd be fewer people. The parking lots would be full because the few people that made it drove. I'd have trouble parking. I'd have trouble getting there. I was really not looking forward to it.
And the two sides say it was actually Toronto's Mayor David Miller who actually brought them together right at the last minute, and that's how they sort of came to this agreement. So what happens now? Well, for commuters, all will remain normal. For the TTC union, they will have a meeting on Tuesday to go over all of the details of this tentative agreement. They are then holding a ratification vote on Thursday to accept or reject the deal. Now, I did ask Union President Bob Kinnear what would happen if the deal was rejected, and he said he's not going to be speculating on that. Reporting from the Sheridan Parkway Hotel in Richmond Hill, I'm Naomi Parnas, sending it back to the News Center.
In other news tonight, Barrie OPP have a man in custody after officers were led on a long-distance chase. Police say they attempted to stop this truck on Highway 11 at the 5th line of Oro for erratic driving. OPP say a pursuit took place when the driver failed to stop for the emergency lights and siren. Police managed to stop the truck in the Gravenhurst area with the use of a spike belt. Two OPP cruisers were damaged in the chase. 41-year-old Richard Delage of Mattawa has been charged with impaired driving, failing to stop for police, and dangerous operation of a motor vehicle. Police in Barrie, meanwhile, are investigating after a hit-and-run in the downtown core overnight. Officers say at about 1:30 this morning, a northbound vehicle struck a man who was walking across the south side of Dunlop Street at Mulcaster. The pedestrian was treated for minor injuries. Police are looking for the driver of what's described as a red compact car. York Regional Police have now identified a murder victim whose body was discovered inside a home in Woodbridge. Officers were called to this home on Martin Grove Road at about 6 o'clock Friday evening. When they arrived, they found a 74-year-old man dead. The victim has been identified as Steve Tsakmakian, a longtime resident of Vaughan. Autopsy results show the man died from blunt force trauma to the head. An investigation is continuing. The Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit is investigating after two people had to be hospitalized after being diagnosed with an illness linked to E. coli. Two residents of Simcoe County were taken to Royal Victoria Hospital in Barrie last week after suffering bloody diarrhea and severe abdominal cramps caused by E. coli. The health unit believes their sickness may be linked to drinking unpasteurized milk.
It's illegal to distribute unpasteurized milk, so we don't often, and I think this might be the first in my experience of my time working in the health unit, where this kind of investigation has led us to the distribution of unpasteurized milk.
The families purchased the milk from a vendor selling out of a vehicle in the south end of Barrie. Unlike milk that is sold commercially, the product was likely not pasteurized, a process which destroys disease-producing organisms. The health unit is urging anyone else who may have bought the milk to seek medical care immediately. A boil water advisory has now been lifted for residents living in the town of Dundalk. Residents were told not to drink their water more than 1 week ago after concerns about the color of the water. Now, it's unclear what was behind the problem. In the meantime, though, the town of New Tecumseh has been fined under the Ontario Water Resources Act for failing to comply with provincial regulations. The town of New Tecumseh owns and operates the drinking water system for residents living in the town of Alliston. Now, the charges stem from violations that occurred back in January of 2003. Provincial inspectors found the town failed to report low chlorine levels in the water and failed to provide the minimum amount of training to all of its operators. After pleading guilty to both charges, the province has fined the town $11,500. Panic and terror once again gripped residents and tourists on the Indonesian island of Sumatra today. An earthquake measuring 6.8 struck just off the western coast of the island, sending people fleeing from their homes. Now, this is the third quake to hit the Indonesian island since December 26th, when a massive tsunami devastated parts of South Asia, killing over 170,000 people. Fortunately, today's earthquake was not strong enough to generate a tsunami. There is no word yet on either injuries or damages. To the Middle East, where tensions ran high today during a small but heated rally outside a disputed holy site. Israeli police clashed with an ultra-nationalist Palestinian group which staged the demonstration. The Palestinians are protesting this summer's Gaza withdrawal. That's when tens of thousands of Israeli police will evacuate settlements there, as well as in the West Bank. 9 people were arrested during today's rally. The site is sacred to both Jews and Muslims and has been a flashpoint for Israeli-Arab conflict in the past. Mourning pilgrims packed churches around Rome today to remember Pope John Paul II.
Cercare quella finestra.
For more than 2 decades, the pontiff would read his Angelus message and bless the crowds gathered outside the basilica every Sunday morning. But today, there was no prayer. Instead, there was a mass held at the Vatican to mark the 9th day of mourning for the Pope. Meanwhile, all eyes remain focused on the gathering of the cardinals in the Vatican City as they prepare to begin voting on a successor to John Paul a week from tomorrow. Britain's newest royal couple emerged from their honeymoon estate in Scotland this morning. Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles went to a small church service just one day after tying the royal knot. Dozens of Scottish villagers came out today to greet the newlyweds. And it wasn't exactly a royal wedding, but it was one for the books.
By the powers vested in me by the state of New York, I'm pleased to pronounce them husband and wife. This is Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Hawkins. You may kiss the bride.
Beverly McCutcheon says her co-workers at Walmart couldn't get the day off to attend her wedding, so she brought the wedding to them at the Walmart. The groom arrived from Texas just in time for the nuptials on Saturday. The couple met on the internet. And it may not seem like the most obvious pairing, but a new union between William Shakespeare and the Bare Naked Ladies may soon draw more young people back to the theater. The popular Canadian band is currently working on new songs for the play As You Like It, which opens in Stratford later this month. Julie Atchison from our sister station in London has the story.
The Bare Naked Ladies are taking their music to the stage and are shaking up Shakespeare. The band is recording the instrumental music, and the festival actors will sing the songs in the upcoming production of As You Like It. Band member Jim Cregan says it's been an exciting adventure.
We've been able to, he said, we want the sound of wind, or we want the feeling of, this gust, and that's when I go, okay, how about this, how about that, how about this, and so that's been a big thrill for me.
The production is set in 1969 during the so-called Summer of Love. And while there is added music, Shakespeare's words stay the same.
I realized that writing songs around really good lyrics that are already written is in some ways a lot easier.
They describe it as painting scenes musically and are excited about illustrating emotion through their sound.
Layered a whole bunch of string parts on top of each other and just tried to give the most emotive feeling I could to it, so that when I come and sit and watch the play, when it's all done, I'll be able to feel something.
The actors are in the progress of learning the songs and say the music the band has created is incredible.
Setting this play in the 60s is sort of fun, but their music has a sort of folky quality to it, so it lends perfectly to it.
I haven't seen a Shakespeare play in Stratford since I was in high school, but with the Bare Naked Ladies on board, suddenly Shakespeare has a whole new appeal.
The fans of Shakespeare and the fans of the Bare Naked Ladies may come together and form, a new audience for this too, but if it gets people excited about Shakespeare, it's great.
By bringing something from a different context into it, I think we can expand, hopefully expand who comes and how often they come here too.
As You Like It explores many kinds of love from the viewpoint of the young. It seems fitting for the Bare Naked Ladies to bring a younger audience back to Stratford to experience the magic of Shakespeare. In Stratford, Julie Atchison of the New PL for VR News.
Now, the play As You Like It begins previewing at the Stratford Festival on April 18th. The show officially opens in early June. For information or tickets, you can log on to our website, thenewvr.com. Well, she's not too crazy about pizza, doesn't care for turnips, and credits staying away from fried food for helping her live a long, long life. Casey Colby now with the story of a Shelburne lady who has a big reason to celebrate today.
My family are very important. I love them all.
Today, Emily Sims celebrates a special birthday with 4 generations of her family. She still lives in her own house, keeping busy with friends by playing Scrabble and other games.
I don't know what I'd do without the word find games. They're large print.
You folks out there called in and you just got a busy signal the whole time.
Emily listens to the radio and loves to talk to family on the phone, and when she feels creative, she paints. Back in the same year Emily was born, Wilfrid Laurier was Prime Minister of Canada. Something called the windshield wiper had just received its patent, but because there were so few cars on the road, nobody really knew what a windshield wiper was. And the hot new treat on the market? Something chilly called a popsicle. Do you like popsicles, Emily?
No, not much. They're for children.
But Emily, some would say on this day, everyone's a child.
Birthday to you.
Emily Sim is 100 years old. She was born just outside of Shelburne in this house and married Harold Sim on October 5th, 1929.
Aunt Emily is a walking miracle. She paints, she belongs to the hospital auxiliary, she goes out and gets her hair done.
I discovered she likes Swiss chocolates, too. But is that the secret to a long, happy, healthy life?
Well, you have to begin by have a good attitude towards life, not smoke or drink.
Emily says helping her family celebrate her 100th birthday is the only present she wants. Because last year, for her 99th, she was given her other big gift, a new hard drive for her computer. Because she loves that, too.
I play solitaire and free cell. It makes you feel better.
Casey Colby, VR News.
And a fantastic lady. It's time now for First Chance.